आप सभी का स्वागत है एनालिस्ट आईएएस के यूट्यूब चैनल पे। हमारा आज का टॉपिक फोकस ऑफ द डे डिस्कशन करने के लिए है द फॉरेन कंट्रीब्यूशन रेगुलेटिंग एक्ट। सो वी विल सी व्हाई इन न्यूज, व्हाट इज द फुल बैकग्राउंड ऑफ FCRA, व्हाट इज द क्राइटेरिया टू बी रजिस्टर्ड अंडर इट, व्हाट आर द रेगुलेशंस अंडर दिस एक्ट, देन हु कैन रिसीव डोनेशंस एंड हु कैन नॉट रिसीव डोनेशंस थ्रू दिस एक्ट, then what are the issues with the FCRA, what is the timeline of the FCRA from the starting of 1976 to 2020. Then we will come to our today's prelims and the mains practice question as well. This video will cover your entire doubts regarding the FCRA Act. Recently, the Ministry of Home Affairs suspended the FCRA license of the Center for Policy Research. Center for Policy is a not-for-profit society, and moreover, along with the Oxfam India and the Independent and Public Spirited Media Foundations, these were all surveyed by the Income Tax Department earlier. The FCRA Act, on the 31st March of 1976, FCRA was enacted with an aim to regulate the utilization of foreign contributions, hospitality by individuals, associations to keep it consistent with the values of a sovereign democratic republic. The FCRA was enacted in 1976 in order to maintain strict control over voluntary organizations and political associations that received foreign fundings. In 2010, the act was repealed and a new act with strict provisions were enacted. Now, what is the FCRA Act of 2010? FCRA 2010 is a consolidating act passed by the Government of India in the year 2010. It seeks to regulate foreign contributions or donations and hospitality to Indian organizations and individuals and to stop such contributions which might damage the national interest. Now, the law was amended again in 2020, giving the government tighter control and scrutiny over the receipt and utilization of the foreign funds by NGOs. What is the criteria for FCRA? The FCRA requires every person or NGO seeking to receive foreign donations to be registered under the Act to open a bank account. This is mandatory in the State Bank of India, Delhi, to utilize those funds only for purpose for which they have been received as stipulated in the Act. FCRA registrations are granted to individuals or associations that have definite culture, economic and educational, religious and social programs. These are the terms and conditions. FCRA registration is basically valid for 5 years and the NGOs are expected to apply for renewable within 6 months of the date of expiry of the registration. The government can also cancel the FCRA registration of any NGO if it finds that the NGO is in violation of the Act. If it has not been engaged in any reasonable activity in its chosen field or for the benefit of the society for 2 consecutive years, or if it has become defunctional. Now, once the registration of the NGO has been cancelled, it is not eligible for re-registration for 3 years. Now, who can receive the donations? Candidates who cannot receive the donations. So, these are candidates for elections, journalists or newspapers and media broadcasts, judges and government servants, civil servants, they cannot receive it. Members of legislature and political parties or their office bearers and organizations of a political nature. Who can receive the donations? Those registered with the Home Ministry, those NGOs, and maintaining a separate account listing the donations received from foreigners, getting it audited by a chartered accountant and submitting it to the Home Ministry every year. Now, what are the issues with the Act? The amendments drew criticism from some quarters who claim that they could have deleterious effect on civil society organizations. The government intends to exert control over the NGOs that engage in dubious activities. Failure to recognize the diversity of the NGOs, which includes world-class organizations recognized globally, will crush their competitiveness and creativity. This is the FCRA timeline. It started from 1976, then amended in 1984. It was later repealed and a new act was introduced in 2010, then it was amended to 2020. You can pause the video and you can just read what is written. I have already explained you this. Now we will come to our today's prelims practice question. Which of the following are true? Now, foreign firms cannot fund political parties and NGOs in India. Second, the Representation of People Act bars political parties from receiving foreign funds. You can pause the video, try to answer. So, the answer to this is D, because foreign firms cannot fund political parties, but they can fund the NGOs. So, one statement is true. And the Representation of People Act bars political parties from receiving foreign funds. FCRA bars it. So this is how it is. Now we will come to our today's mains practice question that discuss the major provisions of the Foreign Contribution Act and the need for such legislation. This was all about today's video. Thank you. Have a nice day and stay tuned with the Analyst IAS.